Good evening. Welcome to Class 3, 4 and 5 for this evening's Stories from the Shed. We're reading Danny, the Champion of the World, and we're reading Chapter 12. This is Chapter 12, Part D, I think I'm going to have to call this. It's quite a long chapter. Let's say hello to everybody. We've got all our good characters, and evening to Rebel. Moving across over to the bad character. We've got the evil characters, the diabolical Mr. Hazel, the silent but deadly keeper, who've been watched over by Pesco. Now, Mr. Shoutout, he's pointing very enthusiastically over to the artwork. Let's have a look at the artwork that we've got. Now, I asked you recently to do some pictures of Captain Lancaster and also to make Hazel's wood. Now, this is a super picture of Captain Lancaster. This is by Georgina. Oh, sorry, no, wrong. This is by Nancy in Year 3. This is very Picasso. Very Picasso touch, this Nancy. And I like the red hair coming out of his nostril there. Here we've got a very angry-looking Captain Lancaster by Leon from Year 3. Thank you, Leon. This one down here is... Can we get a close-up of that, please, you think? This is Captain Lancaster by Georgina from Year 4. And a very nice teddy bear as well. And... here we've got Zara, Year 4, Captain Lancaster again. I like he's got his cane there, about to hit Danny. Now we've got this is Harrison from Year 4. I like his beard, Harrison. He's got some very trendy stubble there, by the look of it, and some very funky pants. Thank you, Harrison. And this is Hazel's Wood by Georgina with a deer in amongst the trees. And this, now, if you're in Year 4, go on the Year 4 blog because you'll be able to see a fantastic Minecraft video by Zara who made Hazel's Wood in Minecraft. It's amazing. And this is just the bit where she's showing us the pit in Hazel's Wood. Really good. Absolutely fantastic skills. And this is by Yassine in Year 5. A very angry-looking Mr. Hazel there, baring his teeth. Okay, right, let's get back to the story. Okay, right. When we were on chapter 12 yesterday, Danny and his friend Sydney had been hit by Mr. Captain Lancaster for talking at the back of the class, and I wonder what Danny's dad is going to say about this because he's really hurt Danny. Right, let's get back to the story. When I got home from school that afternoon, my father was in the workshop. I bought the raisins, he said. We'll now put them into soak. Fetch me a bowl of water, Danny. I went over to the caravan and got a bowl and half filled it with water. I carried it to the workshop and put it on the bench. Open up all the packets and tip them all in, my father said. This was one of the really nice things about my father. He didn't take over and want to do everything himself, whether it was a difficult job like adjusting a carburettor in a big engine, or whether it was simply tipping some raisins into a basin. He always let me go ahead and do it myself while he watched and stood ready to help. He was watching me now as I opened the first packet of raisins. "Hey!" he cried, grabbing my left wrist. "What's happened to your hand?" "It's nothing," I said, clenching the fist. He made me open it up. The long scarlet mark lay across my palm like a burn. "Who did it?" he shouted. "Was it Captain Lancaster?" "Yes, Dad, but it's nothing." "What happened?" He was gripping my wrist so hard it almost hurt. "Tell me exactly what happened." I told him everything. He stood there holding my wrist, his face going whiter and whiter, and I could see the fury beginning to boil up dangerously inside him. "I'll kill him," he softly whispered when I had finished. "I swear I'll kill him." His eyes were blazing, and all the colour had gone from his face. I had never seen him look like that before. "Forget it, Dad." "I will not forget it," he said. "You did nothing wrong, and he had absolutely no right to do this to you." "So he called you a cheat, did he?" I nodded. He had taken his jacket from the peg on the wall and was putting it on. "Where are you going?" I asked. "I am going straight to Captain Lancaster's house, and I'm going to beat the daylights out of him." No, I cried, catching hold of his arm. Don't do it, Dad, please. It won't do any good. Please don't do it. I've got to, he said. No, I cried, tugging at his arm. It'll ruin everything. It'll only make it worse. Please forget it. He hesitated then. I held on to his arm. He was silent, and I could see the rush of anger slowly draining out of his face. It's revolting, he said. I bet they did it to you when you were at school, I said. Of course they did. And I bet your dad didn't go rushing off to beat the daylights out of the teacher who did it. He looked at me, but kept quiet. He didn't, did he, Dad? No, Danny, he didn't, he answered softly. I let go of his arm and helped him off with his jacket and hung it back on the peg. Now, children, this is very interesting because in the olden days, and when this book was written, if I go back and show you, as we all learnt the other day how to find out the age of a book, Danny the Champion of the World was first published in 1975. Now, at this time, children, there was something in schools called corporal punishment. So if you were naughty, the teachers they would sometimes use a cane or a slipper, and you would get sometimes hit on the hand or hit on the bottom or something like that. It was still happening when I was at school, children, but of course that was a very, very, very long time ago. But these days, obviously, thank goodness, things are totally, totally different, and teachers aren't allowed to do this type of thing now. But back then, when the story was written, it was the normal case. Anyway, Danny's managed to calm his dad down, and Danny's doing all the talking. I'm going to put the raisins in now, I said. And don't forget that tomorrow I have a nasty cold, and I won't be going to school. Yes, he said, that's right. We've got 200 raisins to fill, I said. Ah, he said, so we have. I hope we'll get them done in time, I said. Does it still hurt, he asked, that hand? No, I said, not one bit. I think that satisfied him, and although I saw him glancing occasionally at my palm during the rest of the afternoon and evening, he never mentioned the subject again. That night, he didn't tell me a story. He sat on the edge of my bunk and we talked about what was going to happen the next day up in Hazel's Wood. He got me so steamed up and excited about it, I couldn't get to sleep. I think he must have got himself steamed up almost as much because after he had undressed and climbed into his own bunk, I heard him twisting and turning all over the place. He couldn't get to sleep either. At about 10:30, he climbed out of his bunk and put the kettle on. What's the matter, Dad? Nothing, he said. Shall we have a midnight feast? Yes, let's do that. He lit the lamp in the ceiling and opened a tin of tuna and made a delicious sandwich each for both of us. Also, hot chocolate for me and tea for him. I think I'll have a bit of hot chocolate myself, children. Then we started talking about the pheasants and about Hazel's Wood all over again. And it was pretty late before we got to sleep. And there they are. That's their plates and their cups. Right, children. So you've learnt all about the evil Captain Lancaster. But we have got an evil fate. I think it's about time we had some revenge on Captain Lancaster. So, if you just follow me up here, let's go back up into the spider's lair. Now, can you see just behind the little red metal thing here? You probably can't quite see, but believe you me, the spider is right behind there. There he is. There he is. Can you see him? There he is. Now, the spider, that thing there, that's the spider's egg sac. That's where the spider's laid all of its eggs. Okay, you can just see it's a little white, looks like a little white bag hanging down. And there'll be lots of baby spiders in there. But you know what? I think it's time for us to put Miss Captain Lancaster in his rightful place. The spider's going to be guarding him, and hopefully we won't see him ever again. Ha 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 ha.